Hello?
Hey, welcome to the Love in Action show with me, Alpa Soni. Once again, fourth time in one day on 11th of the 11th, 2022. Here in the UK, it's 1:30 a.m. and I stayed up because I've been so excited to be amongst these two amazing, spiritually badasses. And I am so excited to be here. I'd like to introduce both my guests, Charlie, who needs no introduction, third time on my show. But I have a very special guest again on my show, which is Champ. Champ, who is the creator of the famous 5D Awakening map. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I first woke up in March 2020, one of the first things I saw was this crazy intricate map with so many different subjects, and I didn't know what the heck it meant. But one thing my attention was drawn upon was the center of the map, which was 1111. Now, as you all know, my affiliation with Charlie is through his book, The 1111, The Great Awakening Code. And now I am here in the presence of an amazing person. Champ, welcome to the Love in Action show. Thank you so much for being here all the way from Thailand. We've got Charles, who's in New York, myself in the UK, and you in Thailand. And we've made it happen. For both of us, it's the 1111. I'm very humbled to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on your show, Alpha. And it's so amazing to see you again, Charlie. I know you've been traveling over the past year or two. We haven't kept touch much, but I know that you've been posting videos on YouTube of all your travels, and I've been loving them. So hopefully you can share where you've been, and let's catch up.
Yeah.
For sure. Thank you both for making this happen. All three of us are busy professionals on 3 different continents. Just the confluence of technology to make this happen. It's such an honor to be here with you guys.
Yeah.
Happy 11/11 to you all.
Yeah, happy 11/11. What does it all mean? 11/11. There is so many interpretations when you go on Google and search 11/11. For me, I didn't know until very recently, until about 7 years ago, that I was born at that time, 11/11. And it was just an impromptu kind of thing from my mum. She was just like, I was obsessed with the number. And she goes, Alpa, you're born at that time. So there is some significant meaning and there's some significant synchronicity that's happening here. And for me, in simple terms, I believe it's the synchronicities of the divine. So seeing as this is the first time, Champ, on my show, I have so many questions for you. But of course, for those of you who haven't seen the map, I'm sure there's hardly anyone, but all information about Champ and where to see this map is on the information description below. Please like and subscribe and share this with your loved ones, because this is going to be a very interesting conversation. Where did it all begin for you, Champ, and how did you create such a magnitude of information? I mean, there's so many very an important tool for all of us, truth is, that woke up in the 2020 movement on social media. This map was shared. I saw it across so many different platforms, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. You know, I was going around sharing it on Facebook. But how did this all happen for you?
I was also born on 11/11, but it was 1111 Amsterdam Boulevard in New York City. And I found that out fairly late in my life after having my, spiritual awakening and discovering all of the secrets of our reality, such as the number 1111 and what it means to everybody. It means something special to each and every one of us once we find out its significance. And being at the center of the map, it just goes to show how just this one number brought us 3 together. I mean, Charlie found me out several years ago because he was so excited that he saw the number 1111 on the map. And to me, it was such a natural thing to put on the map, because at some point in everybody's spiritual awakening, they're going to come across miracles and what are known as synchronicities in their life. And some of these synchronicities involve numbers, repetitive numbers. And when you study religious and spiritual teachings, when you come across repeating numbers, they have a divine meaning. There's some sort of a galactic harmony to the ringing of the repetitive numbers. And if you ask Charlie about what it all means, he'll give you the very in-depth analysis of it, which I love. It goes into the speed of light and the instantaneous, speed of knowledge and power. So Charlie, you can go into that later. But, over my spiritual awakening of 10, 12 years, I amassed all of this knowledge, all of these topics you see on the map. I had a fascination for them. And it just came natural to me as an artist and a designer to create something that would awaken humanity as quickly as possible. And the only way to do this would be to share all of these topics in a way that would just overwhelm somebody with all the secrets of our reality that they have been missing out on their whole life. And it's supposed to make you wonder, like, wow, where have I been? I didn't know all of these things existed. And I'm going to now research it myself. And when somebody takes that first step and researches it for themselves, that's when they have their true awakening. And that's how, you and I are all speaking together, because you have all found topics on this map that have brought joy and meaning to your life. And that's what I hope everybody comes across when they see, the map.
Yeah, but this map was created, if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was created sometime before 2020, in 2018?
Yes, I was a researcher since 2008. So for 10 years, I was, I was studying and figuring out all of these things that dealt with metaphysics and consciousness. And over time, I was able to see that big picture view of reality that I have gained from listening to all of these consciousness researchers, talk on their lectures on YouTube and on the internet, and meeting them in real life and reading their books. And, just like all three of us, we've come across this knowledge in different ways and at different times of our life. And we are just all trying to share the best things that we've gained together. It's so simple.
That's really important that you say this, because it's a collective effort, and us collaborating with like-minded individuals, one having a creative force, an intuitive force, and then the factual force. Like, there are so many facets to this, and bringing people that are like-minded together. For myself, my awakening journey really kind of came to a head in 2020. I didn't know about any of these topics. So I felt very ignorant and pretty stupid, because I didn't follow any conspiratorial things on YouTube. I didn't follow anything. In fact, I just used to listen to a lot of kirtan music, and a lot of high vibing and high frequency meditation music. And somewhere, somehow, I think that this served a purpose, because when this movement started in 2020 and I came across all these various different topics, it's like, whoa, this is intense. Where do I even begin? Your map provided information of things I hadn't even heard of. But what drew me to it was the center point, which Charles will speak about later on, which is the 1111. And as we said, that's what's brought the three of us together. You've amassed a huge following on Instagram, a huge following. And I hadn't even realized I've been following you from the get-go. All his information is on the description below. He's got a huge audience of 256,000, if I'm not wrong. People following his spiritual content. I mean, it always comes at the right time. Isn't that weird? When you see something, it's like I feel like Instagram is spying on my brain, on my thoughts, because when I need to see something, I come across, certain posts. And recently, in the lead up to us doing this show, I was seeing 5D consciousness, your page, quite a lot. And this is before we'd even arranged this show to happen. So yeah, thank you for that. But there is so much more to cover. Charles, over to you now. Like, talk to me about your journey and how you met Champ and the synchronicity of how this all took place.
Right. Well, thanks for all that. The introduction from Champ. I was always fascinated to hear how he came about this map. And one fascinating fact he told me. Correct me if I'm wrong, Champ, but you told me when I asked you how long it took, how many months it took you to make this map. I think you responded it took you 1 week, and then you finished it in 1 weekend.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just can't I can't fathom the mind that it would take, the mental capacity that it would take just to put all these topics together like you did. But like Alpa said, I mean, I was busy writing a book principally about mathematics, numerology, synchronicity, but the 1111 was just sort of a thing in the back of my mind that hadn't really gelled yet. Um, this all started for me. Um, Being born on March 22nd, 1975. 1 plus 9 plus 7 plus 5 is 22, which is 11 plus 11. March 22nd, 11 plus 11. At my first house was 322 Hall Court, another 22. My first school was 522 Belvedere Road, at Andrew Cook Magnet School, Waukegan. Uh, these little bits and pieces started stacking up, and I just thought they were kind of cute, sort of interesting, but not a big deal. But it really hit me when my son was born. My son Eric was born 22 inches long, 11 plus 11. That's when I started to really dig into this in 2012. And as the process of writing that book, um, the 17th letter of the alphabet started to happen in 2017. Um, that got me digging deeper into a lot of things, and it got me on Twitter and Facebook also. I started seeing this Great Awakening map showing up, and after seeing it about 2 different times, I started to scratch into it. And then as I dug into it, printed it out, like you, Alpa, I noticed the 1111 synchronicity was at the center of it, and that's when something big went off in my head that started what is today the 1111 code, the book, the brand, uh, this whole philosophy that I've come up with. And I've broken through the mystery, through the veil, and figured out what this thing's trying to tell us all. And I think that the hippie yoga, granola eating types that, uh, tie-dye shirts, all that stuff, the New Age crowd, they had it right all along that it is a code of awakening. It's a code of light, but that's proven in physics um, at a macro level and a micro level. At the macro level, you've got just take 1111. That's 11 hours and 11 minutes. If you break that down into pure minutes, you've got 11 hours times 60, which is 660. Then add the other 11, you get 671. A simple Google search of speed of light miles per hour yields 670.7, whatever. It rounds up to 671 million miles per hour within like 0.3% accuracy, like 99.6% accuracy. That's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. Uh, then at a micro level, in the appendix of my book, I've got the mathematics worked out, but um, from my graduate studies of electromagnetics, uh, it turns out that the speed of light is equal to 1 over the square root of mu times epsilon. Mu is the magnetic property of a vacuum or of free space, and epsilon is the electrical property of free space. And when you multiply those two numbers, basically you're taking pi over 36, that fraction times, what is it, 4 pi, doesn't 1 over 4 pi. Anyways, when you multiply it out, you're left with 1 over 9 in the bottom of the fraction. If you take 1 over 9, that works out to 0.11111 forever. So that's the speed of light equals 1 over the square root of 0.11111 with a bunch of decimal places in the front. It's like 17 zeros in front of all those ones. So you've got an infinite train of ones in the bottom of the fraction of the speed of light. Champ made a really awesome graphic that illustrates that, but you can go further with it. I mean, have you ever seen a halo, the rainbow halo around the moon or the sun? If you Google that, Google 22-degree rainbow, and you'll find out that that's a moon halo. Every time you see a rainbow around any light source, whether it's a light bulb or the moon or the sun, whatever it is, that's 22. It's a 22-degree cone. 11 plus 11. another prominent example that I cracked into was the Michelson-Morley experiment. The first time that mankind ever accurately measured the speed of light, we did so on two peaks. I think it's Mount Whitney and some two mountain peaks out in California that happened to be 22 miles apart. And these scientists emitted a laser from one peak, and it hit a reflector on the other peak, and then it bounced back. And they measured the time precisely, the transit time. Distance equals speed times time. They know the distance, they knew the time, so they could solve for velocity. And that's what they did. They used 11 plus 11 miles apart, two peaks, to measure the speed of light. I mean, these can't be coincidences.
Wow.
But it just goes on and on. It took me 329 pages to express all of this, how much more there is to this. It's very deep.
Certainly. And if you look at the sort of trio that we have here and the levels of knowledge, I mean, I humble myself and say all of this was just a whirlwind. You're providing kind of more of the scientific stance, Charles, to this, and with yourself, Champ, the spiritual compass, with your artistic creative talents. And then we're combining all of this to kind of really decipher and be able to ascertain all the coincidences. But look at the magnitude of how powerful this is. And energetically, I certainly feel like, wow, this is so deep, as you correctly said. I have a question for you, Champ. Thank you, Charles. That's I have some questions about that, and just want to acknowledge everybody who's here. Thank you so much. I know for the people in the UK, if you've waited up for this, thank you so much. It's just almost 2 a.m. in the morning, and wherever you are in the world that you're joining, thank you so much. But these 2 years since you've created this map, Champ, obviously it was done prior to this 2020 awakening movement that the collective woke up to, well, part of them. How has your journey been since then? And since this map has been shared everywhere? You've got a wonderful website, but for you personally, what has the journey been like? What has the response been like from your ardent fans, should I say?
You know, once you become a person who is interested in any of the topics you see on the Great Awakening map, any one of those topics can change your life forever. And somebody who studies all of this knowledge, if they don't do anything with it, it's just going to be lost. So for myself, I've discovered a lot of secrets on the map that deal with transforming the human body and the human mind in a way that will allow you to change your life, bring more miracles and abundance and healing into your life in a very quick way, quicker than in ways that, you know, the medical industrial complex would try to persuade us. So when you start to heal yourself spiritually, you begin to study things such as meditation and consciousness, and you even come across what is known as the Dharma. And for me, the Dharma has been a collection of teachings from enlightened beings. And what's really amazing about these enlightened beings is that some of them are able to attain higher states of consciousness. And when they die, their bodies actually transform into light. This is what is known as the light body, or in Tibet, it's known as the Tibetan rainbow body. And a lot of these enlightened masters practice a form of Buddhism, Dharma, known as Vajrayana. So on the Great Awakening map, you'll see
known as, what is that known as? I missed that.
Oh, it's known as Vajrayana Buddhism.
Oh, right. Wow. Okay.
So known as Tibetan Buddhism. And on the very top right of the map, the most sacred area of the map, it goes into a lot of supernatural abilities that humans can attain, such as telepathy, walking through solid objects, clairvoyance, having something known as the Buddha mind, All of these things are known as cities, supernatural abilities that can be attained when somebody is an enlightened being. So I enjoy sharing this type of information because I think that it's our human birthright to know the full potential of what the human body is capable of. And for myself, I've been practicing a form of meditation known as Dzogchen, and that is
About
from
that.
Buddhism. And I consider myself just a simple yogi practicing Dzogchen. I've been doing it for 5 years now. And that's why I came to Thailand, so that I could change my life and live in a sort of meditation retreat. And I've been doing this while still sharing all of the knowledge and topics you see on the map. And on Instagram, every day I try to post relevant memes to help awaken humanity as quickly as possible. Because as you know, I've been censored and shadow banned for years now. And there are people who don't want us to know any of the knowledge that you see on the map. And I know that you and Charlie know all about this kind of stuff. And we've been working so hard, people like you and me, we've been trying to share this knowledge against all odds. And we want people to just have a better life. We want them to awaken and heal themselves and find secrets of reality that can bring infinite joy and wonder to their life and to others. So this is simply what we do every day. It's simply something that just comes natural. You know, I know, Charlie, you feel the same way, and you're doing it in your own way. And across the world from each other, we are still connecting through this magical aspect of spiritual awakening, finding these magical numbers. For instance, I live in Thailand, and in Thailand, people are obsessed with their license plates on their cars. They love to buy license plates with repeating numbers. Like the most expensive one you can buy is like 9999.
Wow.
And when I came to Thailand, I was immediately surrounded with repeating numbers. 11111s, 9997s, everything you can imagine. The entire country is inundated with repetitive numbers. So when I arrived in Thailand, I already knew this was a sign from the universe that you are in the right place. This is a place where all the bells are ringing for you, all the harps are being strung for you. This is a place of synchronicity. And that's just one way that you can figure out in your own life where you are going by seeing the numbers of synchronicities in your life. So for example, somebody who may live somewhere where they don't see repetitive numbers, this may be a sign where they need to move and find a place where more synchronicities are happening, because the universe is just trying to show you where to go. And it's going to use things like triple numbers, repetitive numbers, rainbows in the sky. The list goes on. There's just so many miraculous things that occur. Like for myself, I saw a shooting star on the night of the lunar eclipse during my meditation when I was purposely asking for a sign. So things like this can happen when you are in tune to receiving miracles. You need to be open to it and expect it to happen, and they will. So Charlie, I know you know all about this, and I just wanted to know, like, from your journeys across the craziest parts of the world, what are some of the most miraculous things you've seen over the past 2 years? We haven't talked to each other that much.
Well, thanks for that. I know exactly what you're talking about with the being in the right place at the right time. Where do I take the first bite on this apple? I'm together. My partner, she lives in. We live together in outside of Hamburg, Germany, and we were hunting for apartments together. We visited different towns. In some places, we'd see license plates with triple digits, but there's one particular town where we live now, just outside of Hamburg to the east. We live about 300 feet away from the train station, and right between our house and the train station is this little red powerhouse that's connected to the German power grid, obviously for the electric train system. And the year that we met, 2 years ago, I had a project in Bremen, Germany, which is where the main powerhouse is that supplies the northern 1/5 of Germany's rail system. I worked on a 500 megawatt turbine there that's connected directly, exclusively to the rail system. It doesn't serve any other customers. And I did major repairs, major surgery on that machine, which is connected directly to that little red house. And every single time, I would say 70% of the time when we go just between our house, at our house, or at the driveway right in front of the red house, with all the thyristors, rectifiers, cycloconverters that take 50 hertz energy and converts it to DC for the trains. At that little space, that 100 meters between our house and the train station, every time we pass the red house, we get quadruple digits, quad 7s, quad 11s, quad 9s. It's mind blowing. Things like KK. K is the 11th letter, 2 Ks in a row. It happens with such a frequency that it defies statistical distributions, probabilistic norms. It's an extreme outlier, and I think that it's the electrical energy traveling at the speed of light through the wires for the unit that I worked on that brought us together, gave us the opportunity to meet and come together. And it's also it's a recurring message that you're in the right place, also at the right time, because these are cars that are moving 10 times faster than I could walk, 20 times faster than I could walk. They can be wherever they want to be. They happen to be where I am, at the right place at the right time. It's about timing with the moving vehicle. It's one thing to walk past a parked car with 1111 on the plates, but it's entirely another to have a moving vehicle with a sentient, independent human being operating it, putting themselves in your little universe, your little bubble. Another fascinating thing, this little town of Almula, which is 3,000 people where we live, there's only one taxi company. They've got 3 vehicles, and they all have 777 on their license plate. No joke. Their phone number ends in quad 7. It's the car that takes me to the airport every time I fly out to go to a project. It's really crazy, but we look at each other every time something goes by. It's like, here we go again. It's definitely an affirmation that we're in the right place, and that I completely resonate with that.
Yeah, it's so cute, and it's just something that you both align with, you resonate with, and it brings about a sense of connection and an affirmation and the confirmation from the universe to say that yes, you are aligned, you're in the right path, and I'm sure you feel, I call it some kind of current or like an electric feeling, and your body will tell you that this is right and this is not feeling right. When I get this energetic feeling sometimes about something that isn't right for me, in the beginning, I never used to trust myself because guess what? We're taught not to. And then hindsight tells you, God, I had the gut feeling about X, Y, Z, and I wish I trusted that. We're all spiritual beings with an intuitive compass that's been so desensitized and kind of hijacked with all this programming that's been thrown at us over years and years and years. And now this great awakening movement, the 2020, like getting the 2020 vision and the number 22, if you take away the 2 zeros, that was it. That was very crucial in this movement. And I kept seeing the number 22 prior to March 2020. And thank you for sharing that, Charles, by the way. I think, you just give you give the scientific spin on things, the factual stuff with the figures and stuff, not my sort of forte, but I'm more of the flowery stance. But the energetics for me are very powerful. And energies have a language of its own. And prior to this movement, it was number 22 I was seeing. And it was on the 22nd of December, 2019, where a friend of mine, she was giving me like a massage on my back because it was really hurting. And as I looked and glanced at my phone, it was 2222. And she happened to be telling me about this Reiki healer. So off I go on the 7th of February, 2020. And, I'm just driving in my own lane and I get overtaken 3 times with as you mentioned, the significance of number plates by cars saying 777 3 times. Kind of thought, am I driving like a bit funny? Like, is somebody trying to tell me something? And this is in the lead up to going to see this Reiki healer. Anyway, long story short, first thing she said to me, she goes, "You're on an 11/11 journey," and I was like, looking around me, saying, "I haven't even spoken yet. Like, is there anyone in the room?" So she's a clairsentient, clairvoyant. She can see things in different dimensions. And it was interesting that she said, from 7 months from now, you're going to be known around the whole world. And I was like, excuse me. Hello, rewind, right? Oh, sorry, I've just come here, haven't said anything. So it was like the universe was telling me while I was on my way there, 777. And I never saw those numbers before. It was just 22 and 11/11 and 144. Those were very significant numbers for me. And I could just share so many things, but it was true. 7 months later, I started gaining a voice and speaking to the collective about what the hell is going on. What is happening in the collective. And then there's just so many other things. My partner, 11 months, 11 days difference between us, and a few years, but it's just the synchronicities of that. My life path number 122, mine is 1, his is 22, and my dog 22, 22nd. And every single day when I ask for some kind of confirmation about something, I'll always get the 144s, the receipts, the bills, the times. And it's just when you start aligning with yourself and you trust the divine implicitly with no doubt, universe will start speaking to you more and more. And that's what I've noticed more from the energetic plane.
I've also been seeing the number 144 and 14 repeatedly this past season. So I've sort of changed all of my, like in Thailand, people like to buy these lotto tickets. And it's just such a common thing. Like even sometimes I like to do it for fun. So I've been getting this number now because I'm getting ready for something big, because this number just keeps coming up into my life to the point where it's like, okay, you better either do something physically about it, or just it's gonna be gone forever. This is your chance. So just like that, another strange thing in my life, 144 now is in my life, and now I have to do something about it. And it's just something that is fun. It brings you joy, and you know that it's going to bring you some sort of miraculous meaning if you just keep pursuing it, because it always does. So that's the fun and joyful aspect of awakening, is that miracles happen, and if you follow the signs and expect miracles to happen, then they will. But if you're somebody who doubts and isn't so sure of this kind of thing, then that's the type of path the universe will send you. It's just going to match your frequency and match your state of consciousness. So being interested in 1111 is also an exercise in training yourself how to manifest abundance. It's one thing to manifest things like a nice house or money or a nice job, but it's an even more powerful thing to manifest abundance. When you ask the universe to send you all things that you need at the right time and the right place, then the universe has infinite options. Now it can send you 100 houses, and trillions of dollars, whereas before you only wanted to manifest one house and maybe a nice job that paid, so much amount of money. So manifesting abundance in all things that you need at the right time is what you should practice manifesting. Whenever you see these types of numbers repeating in your life, it's leading you to a better life. And a better life means that you're always going to have what you need at the right time, no matter what. And sometimes, most of the time, it will be much more miraculous and much more beautiful than you could have ever imagined, because our human consciousness can only imagine so much. But the universe, it can bring you something that you couldn't have ever imagined. That's why it's very good to be open to abundance in your manifestation. So myself, whenever I see these numbers, I always feel grateful to the universe that I'm here, I'm still alive, I'm on some sort of path. I'm enjoying the path, and I just keep giving gratitude whenever I see triple numbers, whenever I see 1111 on the clock. It's just a time to reflect, give gratitude back to the universe, because it's been giving us so much confirmation, so many good signs. So the most, I guess the greatest thing you could do in that moment is just feel gratitude, because then that energy, that frequency of consciousness, of gratitude, it's such a high vibration. It's going to keep the universe sending you more and more and more of these miraculous time codes,
Yeah.
or finding synchronous numbers in your life, which will keep you going on that path of spiritual awakening, all the way, to the highest that your higher self knows that you want and need in this life. So what I'm saying is that your higher self is also sending you these signs. So
Right.
always know that your higher self can see the greatest path for your life, and it's you being connected to your higher self which brings you all of the dreams come true, to put it simply.
Yeah, beautifully put. Thank you. And I have a question actually for both of you, with just sort of spinning off what you said, Champ, is that as we are in the 1111 energy, you've got a few hours to catch up, Charles, but what does it actually mean? There's so much information out there pertinent to what this day, especially 11/11/2022, means. So I'll start off with you, Champ. What I've heard, or read or come across posts and things over the last few days about the 11/11 portal. So it's been described as a portal on social media platforms. And the key word that I have observed is it's a portal of intense manifestation. Manifestation, you've mentioned that word a few times, that this is the energies supporting all of us as a collective to be congruent with our highest selves, which you've just said, and to really make the most of this powerful energy, because apparently this is not going to be coming around for quite some time, this specific time, this date, this lunar eclipse, etc., etc. So first of all, with you, what does this specific 11/11 mean to you?
I think this year is a little bit more special than other years because we just had the lunar eclipse. And in Buddhism, they say that on a lunar eclipse, somebody should do acts of merit, because any act of merit that you do, it will be multiplied infinitely. So example, if you set an animal free, like for myself, I set some catfish free in a lake. It's a common thing to do in Thailand. So that merit that I did on that day will be equal to setting free trillions and trillions of fish throughout the cosmos. So even if you do something as small as smiling at somebody or giving somebody some spare change, you should imagine that you are actually giving trillions and trillions of dollars to somebody, and with that money they're going to help the entire world by giving everybody trillions and trillions of dollars, and all that money will go to healing the earth and bringing infinite food and abundance to all beings. Every time you do a good deed, you should always imagine that it's being multiplied exponentially. And on a special day such as today, on November 11th, this is a portal where you have the opportunity to do good deeds, make good merit, and set good intentions, positive intentions for your life. Because everything that you imagine, everything that you do today, it's going to be multiplied in who knows how many umpteen ways. So on a day like this, we should all make the effort to set positive intentions for our life and for others, and also try to do acts of good deeds, whether it's posting a meme or just looking somebody in the eye when you're in public and changing their whole life. Who knows?
That's
You
lovely.
can use your imagination.
Yeah, and that's key. The intention comes from a pure place. And intention is so important because it carries a powerful energy. and the intention is really felt from our souls. We only truly know what our intention is when we're doing something, and we can be silent about it, but the intention, the energies of the intention can be so powerful, and the effects so profound. And I love the spin that you put on that, where it gets multiplied, because the intention is to have it. You can't reach 1 trillion people or a trillion catfish yourself single-handedly in a day, but the intention and the to envisage that is great. I love that. I hope everyone loved that nugget of wisdom there. Over to you, Charlie. What does this day mean to you? And the lead up to this, even
Well,
because I've been speaking about it for ages and had the intention to do this on this day with Champ, and thank you, God, it happened.
Oh yeah, I got the chills when you guys were talking, so that's another nice confirmation.
That's so awesome. Yeah. Well, for starters, we know 11/11, at least in the United States, is Veterans Day. It's also Armistice Day. It represents world peace in the sense that on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, 19, help me out here, whatever day that whatever year that World War I ended, 1920 something. I don't know. I don't know my history that well, but anyways, Armistice Day, World War I ended on the 11th hour, 11th day, 11th month. So it's clearly a code of peace. It's a code of enlightenment. It's a code of light. We talked about from the physics. So I think it goes without saying that we're very deep in the throes of the Great Awakening. That really, Champ really did a great thing to help kickstart it off with this Great Awakening map. It affected countless millions of people, and who went on to affect other people around them in ways. But I think that humanity is at a tremendous turning point. It's the 22nd year, the 11th plus 11th year, and it's 11/11 now. At least for you guys, it is, and soon for me. I think that we're at a turning point. I think we've reached the turning point, the tipping point, if you will, where staying asleep is no longer an option. People are being forced to pick a team. Are you with the light side or the dark side? There's no more rocks to hide behind, especially for the overtly evil people. They're all getting found out, cast into the light. We're also in the third millennium, 22nd year, 322. Again, back to my birthday, back to my first address. Back to the evil side that used 322 as a symbol with the Skull and Bones fraternity, meaning in 322. And it's part of their logo, the dark fraternity from Yale, from which a majority or a plurality of former presidents were members of. If I could jump back a minute to your 144, the Bible talks about the 144,000 angels of light that will come into being, come into existence during the rapture. The tribulation, the end times.
On there as well. Timing.
What's that?
It was just the timing.
Sorry?
It was 44 views and 441. So yeah.
Nice. Let's see. I think.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, you were talking about the Bible and the 144.
Yeah, 144. So the 144,000. If you take the numerology of 144, it's 12 times 12. 12 times 12 is 144. If you break 12 down to its most basic elements, its prime factorizations, it's 3 times 2 times 2. That makes 12. 3 times 2 times 2 is 12. And 3 times 2 times 2 times another copy of 3 times 2 times 2, 322, 322. Those two groups of numbers multiply out to 144. So I think that's interesting. We're in the third millennium, 22nd year, 322 right now. So I think the numerology points to us being at a great turning point. I think the astrologers had it right. I used to laugh at astrologers, but there's really a lot of truth behind what they're up to with the zodiac, the 12, where they've divided as the Earth precesses like a rotating basketball or a rotating top. Its axis scribes out a circle in the heavens about the North Star. It's a 3.5 degree cone, and it has a period of 20. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 25,920 years. about right?
Precession
Give or
of
take.
the equinox.
Yeah, precession of the equinoxes. So if you take 25, 9, 20 and divide by 12, you come out with, I think it's 2,160 years. It's right about 2 millennia. It's right about where we are since the year zero. We're pretty darn close to it. And we're just going in from, what is it, from Pisces into Aquarius. We're going into the age of Aquarius, the age of enlightenment. So I think we're walking through a really big door right now. And I think we're just about there.
Nice. Nice.
But
The one. No,
one
go ahead.
last thing. One last thing I'd like to add is if you Google Anthem Arizona Memorial, the Veterans Memorial Anthem Arizona, tomorrow U.S. time on 11/11 at exactly 11:11 a.m. and 11 seconds, give or take about 8 seconds. There's a monument out in Anthem, Arizona, just north of Phoenix. I visited it 2 years ago with my friend Barbara Becker, who may be watching right now. We went to that, and what happens is they've got it's a monument made of 5 vertical, kind of a ramp up, like the bar signal, like the signal strength meter on your phone. It's 5 little lines that get progressively taller. So it's 5 blocks, slabs of marble. Each of them has an elliptical hole through it. Only because of all the motions of the earth and the precession and the analemma, all that stuff. The earth those holes line up exactly with the sun one time per year on 11/11 at 11/11. And when that happens is the sun shines down through all of them, these concentric holes, and it illuminates the Great Seal of the United States of America, which is an array of 13 stars, the same symbol that's on the back of a $1 bill. So it's a really special monument of the 5. Each one is dedicated to the 5 branches of the military, and it's a monument to our fallen heroes that fought for our freedom. So that's something to maybe look at tomorrow. Anthem Arizona Veterans Memorial.
Wow. Do you
I
know,
wrote about that in the 11/11 code.
yeah, I recall that. I was just about to say that. And I think that you've got a lot of this information in the book. And what fascinates me of both of you is the intricacies and the thought that goes behind all of this to be able to see this. I certainly wouldn't be able to. I see the signs, and I think I'm seeing things. I don't want to disrespect myself by saying at a superficial level, but the intricacies that both of you, the knowledge that both of you have imparted to all of us is nothing short of a miracle in my eyes. And I'm really grateful because you're pointing out things that otherwise people may not notice, but there is that divine synchronicity because it all brings it back to the beautiful work of God, the Creator. And for us to sort of piece these puzzles together in this movie that we're all in. But yeah, so thank you for that, Charles. I just made a note to look out for that, and everyone do the same. And as we're drawing to an end shortly in our final 10 minutes, if anyone has any questions for both Charles or Champ, please do write them in the comment section below. But a question for you, Champ. When you were creating the Great Awakening map, there is so many different topics that you have covered. What was your, I'd say, favorite topic because that you put on the map that you connected with personally?
The answer to that would always be
All of it.
the psychedelic known as dimethyltryptamine. And
Wow.
Nice.
what I can show you is beyond imagination. Like if you thought that your imagination was infinite and you could imagine anything, DMT will just show you that your imagination was just so small. You couldn't have imagined what it's about to show you and will show you in the future. It's one of the most, if not the most, sacred experience that a human being can have. The most sacred images a human being can ever see. The images and visions and journeys that I've been on from experimenting and from learning with psychedelics, it led me to the path of Buddhism Dharma. It led me to the path of the rainbow body. And it led me to the path of understanding what this entire life is all about. You know, it showed me that there's nothing to fear. You just need to continue on your journey with full confidence that anything that you want and anything that you want to achieve has already been done. You just are watching the show unfold. So I encourage everybody, you know, to explore secrets of the map that will lead you to finding, you know, infinite wonder, because wonder is what the universe enjoys. It enjoys its beings having a mysterious curiosity about their actual beingness, figuring out how the universe works. This is what the universe loves. And it seems that whenever somebody like Charlie, for example, when they go on this journey and write a book, it changes their life in ways no other path could have done. Even for myself, you know, creating the map or just sharing spiritual knowledge has brought me to this life where I'm living in Thailand now. It's just so random. I never would have imagined this, but that's how the universe works. It will give you something that you couldn't have ever imagined. It's much better than you could have imagined. So that's why it's always good to trust the universe and be open to all things that come your way, and don't try to force it into some sort of concept of what you think a perfect life should be. Just be open that everything is already perfect. You are just watching it all unfold.
Powerful. And I'd like to add to that with psychedelics. This April, which is quite significant now that I think about it. I had an experience with golden teacher, and for the first time ever, and it was in the most sacred space with funnily enough, my colonic therapist. She holds these sacred cacao ceremonies, and she invited me to one, and I was like, I've never even thought about doing this. And she goes, Alpa, you could really do with this, and I think you're ready. And I went, what? And she goes, with an experience and a journey. Honestly, Champ, I had no idea what she was on about at the time, but I went with it. And then on the day, it was just two of us, and the environment that was in was just covered with plants. And when I say there was the gong, sorry, a huge round gong, the size of as tall as my room here, even probably a bit bigger. And it was, she took us on the journey. It was all through music, and we had to have a blindfold on. We were listening to the music, and I'm here, and I've just gulped this drink, and it was 3 grams for the first time. It's my first and only time that I have experienced that, and I'm so glad that I've done it in this way. I wouldn't want to do it in any other kind of environment. And I was so taken aback with the 3 journeys I went on, and they were powerful. So powerful that I learned so much about things that have only come into fruition now, and I saw it then. And at the end, my last trip was the meditation pose of Lord Shiva. And that it just came as all I saw was it was almost like the Big Bang Theory. Om was just there. And I can't explain it. The visions that I saw, I wish I was an artist and I could describe the various journeys, but this was just the start, and I'd love to experience it again, but again, in the right environment, because with psychedelics and DMT, I've heard so much about it, but it has to be with the right people, the right energy, and certainly, like for me, experiencing it the first time, it was with my therapist, so it was so profound and powerful. But I'm glad you said that, because I think there's the sort of impression that people who haven't done it, even myself included, I didn't know what it was. I had no idea.
These are secrets that exist that people don't know, and they're missing out on so much of life That's why I always mention that it's a birthright and it's a rite of passage for the human civilization. We deserve to know about these states of consciousness and everything that you can imagine, all the negativity, all the evil things of this world. They are doing everything that they can to keep us away from knowing the true potential of ourselves and of our Mother Earth. So having these types of conversations today goes to show that we've broken through the matrix and now we are seeing through the veil. We see light on the other side. It's always been there, but we just didn't know how to recognize it. And just like whenever we see 11:11 on the clock, this is light coming through from the other side. And some of us are just so blind throughout our life, we don't see it. But for somebody like Charlie and for yourself, Alpa, we see the light coming through the clock at 11:11. And we see that light and we know that it's knowledge. And what knowledge is known as wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to be in a state of peace no matter what. And if you fast forward to the moment of death, if you are able to maintain this state of peace, no matter what happens when your consciousness passes to the other side, you are going to be able to travel to higher dimensional realms known as pure lands. And these pure lands are for the consciousness that is full of love and peace. And there's no more fear attached to it. So to put it simply, somebody who dies in fear, their consciousness is not going to go to a happy, pretty place. So many religions and spiritual traditions teach this kind of stuff. But what I'm trying to say is that from studying all of the death experiences of all of the enlightened masters, they all teach that this life is a practice for the moment of death. All the things that we've encountered in life, they should bring us peace no matter what. No matter the circumstances, we should always be in a state of equanimous peace. And at the moment of death, our consciousness will go to higher realms that we couldn't have ever imagined, much greater than what DMT can even show us, because DMT is still considered the realm of samsara. But when we are able to die in a state of equanimous peace and love, then our consciousness is going to what is known as nirvana, and even beyond the concept of nirvana, even beyond what language can even describe. So all of these signs, all of these synchronous miracles, they are all pointing us to have a life of peace, put it simply. But not in the terms of like hippie lovey, PC kind of thing. This is wisdom, the ultimate enlightenment known as wisdom, an equanimous awareness of reality at all times. That means that circumstances don't affect us. It's our state of mind that we are always in that will determine, where we go, who we become, and all the miracles that are going to be attracted to us, law of attraction, manifestation.
And I feel at peace just hearing that. I really do. And you've really touched on a poignant point there, Champ. Thank you. Peace is moksha, mukti, as we say
Yes.
in the Vedas, and eternal, or in the modern term, self-actualization, the liberation of the soul. It's what we want to essentially attain, and being peaceful in chaos is a skill. But like you've very well put, it's wisdom.
Seeing through the illusion as well.
Yeah.
Seeing the illusion that, outer circumstances affect us, when in reality, it's ourself that determines how we feel, how we view the world. Everything comes down to our mind. It's our mind that determines how we see the world and what we get out of it.
Yeah, our internal world creates our outer reality. I was really taken away by that. I felt quite teary at moments when you were speaking, Champ. And I want to hand it over to you, Charlie, about, sorry, I'm trying to just like gather my thoughts here, but so I'm crybaby. I know I call myself
You're
the
doing
crybaby.
great.
The crybaby of the movement. But yeah, handing it over to you, Charlie, but about the map. I know that you said earlier on it's the 1111 which really stood out for you, but anything else that really captured your interest, especially with the book that you've written and the fountain of knowledge that from the scientific plane and the mathematical plane, as I say for you. Anything in particular before as we close this amazing show?
Well, thank you. That, by the way, I want to echo what Alpa said. It was very deeply philosophical and just the fountain of wisdom that flows out of you for such a young man. You know so much stuff. Uh, it's just an honor to listen to you speak. Seriously, thank you for all of that. And I read that book on Dzogchen Buddhism you recommended. It was fascinating, and it's helped me come to a place of peace in more situations. So
Yeah, I'm
let's see,
really
what did I
curious
say?
how the book changed your life, the book that you wrote. I want to know how your life changed for putting something out there that so many people have read.
I don't know if you've got time for
Yeah, we
a full reaction to that. It's been wholesale, complete. I've been divorced since launching the book. I've spent 6 months in Israel, a country with a 22-letter, 11 plus 11 letter alphabet, working on about 45% of the nation's power grid. The generators over there are 22,000 volts. It goes on and on. I've stayed in hotels. Every time I stayed at hotels over there, it was 22 degrees centigrade, which corresponds to room temperature. Could go on and on and on. I wanted to say a couple other things. As long as we're in confessional session here, you both have offered up that you've experimented with psychedelics, and you know what? That's one of the biggest things that has helped me open my eyes to the reality, the higher realities. In particular, DMT, and specifically the ayahuasca tea that contains the DMT and the MAOI inhibitor, all from natural plant-based sources.
You even wrote a book about that, Charlie.
I already did. Yeah, I wrote a book about it.
You wrote a book about psychedelics, and that is one of the most challenging things that anybody could ever do. It's an impossible topic, but you did it.
I did it. I haven't published it yet. I didn't want my first book to be a book about drugs because drugs are bad. Okay, so I wanted to do a quote unquote reputable book, more of a scientific base for my first book. I didn't want to be known as that guy that wrote a book about drugs. You just get these images of some guy shooting heroin behind the train station. That's not what I was going for. But I think the world is maturing. We're starting to have adult conversations about psilocybin, DMT. States are legalizing hemp, and I think the world's waking up and realizing big pharma, the white coat medicine's just not cutting it. So yeah, I spent a lot of time. I've taken ayahuasca 75 times, and I'm getting ready to take it in Amsterdam with my partner in January. So super excited about that. It always brings out, as you well know, just a multitude of interdimensional miracles, and it's really helped me steer my life. And I directly credit it for the fact that I now have been liberated from effectively from slavery, from a failed relationship, and I'm now in a loving, nurturing relationship, and living in, as I've always fantasized of living in Europe. I now live in Europe for most of my off time between projects. So life really is a miracle. But I had to step through the fire to get to the other side.
You did. You've done really well, Charlie. I remember when I first contacted you, I think you were in the thick of this.
I was real thick of it. You've helped me immensely, and Champ, you've been helping me since this whole thing started back in 2020.
Yeah, I saw the whole thing happen, but I was just sitting back, and I knew that the universe would take care of you. I just knew that you'd have to go through some patches before getting to the gold, but it looks like you've already been there. I didn't even know.
Yeah. It's amazing. Wow. I mean, it was so helpful to me to hear your story. You had a hard road from when you were a DJ, and you're getting divorced yourself and giving up the material world to go and do what you're doing now. And it's just amazing how you've helped humanity wake up so much. I'm just privileged to be a part of it with you and Alpa and other soldiers of light to do the work that we bravely do.
Well, I see a lot of great things coming from this beautiful energy that the three of us have collaborated on today. I have seen many visions throughout the show, and I'll share this in good time because
Nice.
yes, and it's very powerful. This is why I'm getting a bit teary. I'm very grateful, and I don't expect to cry. Like, well, my audience know that I do, but I'm genuinely like, Charles, when I first met you and the place you were in emotionally, I always humble myself and say, look, I'm not one of these scientific mathematical folks. I literally operate from the heart. I'm not someone with facts and figures. I've had my own health challenges, and I found this year really, really challenging. But today I'm feeling teary in gratitude because of the miracles that I am witnessing every single day and acutely in the last 2 weeks. And that comes from a place of surrender and that determination to really start listening that much more. And everything both of you have shared today, there's a bigger story involved in this, and the fact that you've mentioned DMT is huge, Champ, and psychedelics. My partner who made a movie on DMT for Good Lion Films was just phenomenal. He's actually made a documentary, and I think that this is something, the collaboration is going to be phenomenal because his knowledge on this is phenomenal as well. And I felt pretty like ignorant about this and about psychedelics because it just didn't have any idea of what it meant. And I haven't even touched on anything. You said you were going to do ayahuasca, Charlie, in January. You know, I've heard so much about this, and I've heard so many powerful stories about what happens. But there's an intense feeling that I've been carrying for, I would say, 3 weeks. And that's there's something huge happening in the collective. But there's something big happening. And I was like, is it happening with me internally? I mean, I know I'm going through a lot of shifts and, you know, like ascending and all these things, because that's where I want to be. I'm curious, and my mind is going in that direction. But then I started reading people's posts about something similar. Like, you know, can anyone feel some big shift happening? Can anyone feel this big shift happening? And I kept reading this, and I read this yesterday, and I do feel that. And the gratitude that I have for both of you today is enormous. There's so many more questions, but today's show was really just to introduce you, Champ. And I do hope that you come again on the show, and the three of us can do shows often, which will help on, you know, subjects that you've both written about, and maybe we can dissect the information from the map and the book, and, you know, collate it or collaborate in some way. But everything's shared today has been so powerful. And I hope everyone's enjoying this, because I don't really want it to end, but I know that it is late for me here in the UK. So on a parting note, Charlie, what would you like to leave us with today on 11/11? And then the same question to you, Champ.
Well, the 17th letter of the alphabet has advised us that there's 11/11 is a big marker, and it references the midterms in the same posting. So be on the alert. Oh, we'll be talking for 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 11 seconds, and 7 seconds. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ding. I just think that I think 22 is going to be the year in the rearview mirror. We're going to look back at 22 as the year that the world woke up. That's what I think. That's my hope, my prediction, my belief. I think it's gonna be the number of light, of enlightenment. 11 plus 11. That's the year that it all went down.
Well, yeah, and then next year is a 7 year. So, you know, this year was 6. If we were to in numerology, add it all up, this year has been a 6. And I hear a lot of people say that this year's been very challenging as well for a lot of people. We've gone through quite a lot of portals, the 666, but I think that still crisis is always a blessing. And should we have the eyes to realize, to see what each experience is magnificently teaching us, and there's a divine purpose in everything that's happening. And as you said, how you peacefully go through these moments. And Champ, over to you.
Just leave you guys a message of peace. 11/11.
Short and sweet. I love it.
Yeah. All you need.
Awesome. Trust the chaos.
Well, look, it has been amazing. I'm feeling emotional, all sorts. I'm going to have to kind of like meditate now before I can go to sleep because my vibe is so high.
Same here.
And the energy is great. Both of you have an amazing day ahead. Further, I am going to try and sleep. What time is it there for you, Champ, now?
I think it's 8 or 9.
8 or 9, okay. And for you, Charlie, I think it's like 9:30 or something like that, right?
9:44 here. 9:44 here in Elkton, Maryland.
Wow. Well, everyone, thank you so much for being with me throughout the day. I really appreciate it. I've done 4 shows and I've never done that ever in this journey. And it just coincidentally happened that I booked them in without kind of thinking about the fact that I had 4 shows today. And it ends with you both on an amazing journey. I'm very excited for what the next few months hold, Charlie and Champ.
Nice to see you, Charlie.
It's so great to see you. It's been too long, brother. Let's make it more often. Alpa, thank you so much for hosting us. You're lovely as always. Thank you for hosting us both.
You too, man. Enjoy your travels wherever you are, whatever crazy country you end up in. Send pictures.
Oh, there we go.
I'm heading to Israel. I'm headed to Israel in about 2 weeks.
Sorry, I think I just went off there while I was speaking, but I was just thanking you both. And everyone, 11/11, make your dreams come true, manifest, think from a place of congruent peace, clean thoughts, and right action, and see miracles happen. And I wish that for all of you today. I wish you all a beautiful 11/11, and may all your dreams come true. Thank you so much, everyone. And until next time, see you then. Bye.
Love and light. Bye-bye.
Well done. End broadcast.